This is the agenda of the regular meeting of the City Commission of Rio Grande City. It's Wednesday, April 22nd, 2015, and it is 6:01 for the record. We're at 101 South Washington Street in Rio Grande City, Texas. We'll go to roll call. Ms. Holly? I'm sorry, we'll go to invocation and pledge. Mr. Ramirez, can you lead us in prayer, and I'll lead us in pledge.
Let's bow our heads. Lord, we're meeting today to conduct matters of business, guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought and speech, and package supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being a source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On our Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas is one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. We'll go on to roll call and finding of a quorum. Mrs. Holly?
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Garza.
Here.
Commissioner Salinas is absent. Commissioner Ramirez.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Holly. Did anybody sign up for public forum?
No, sir.
We'll move on to 1D, reading of proclamation for Small Business Week and Small Business Day. And it reads, Proclamation Small Business Week and Small Business Day. Whereas Rio Grande City was built on the dreams of entrepreneurs who dared to chart their own paths, and whereas local small business owners continue to blaze new trails of success and provide our citizens the chance to pursue their dreams for a better life, and whereas local small business owners are fundamental to our economy by creating jobs, invigorating neighborhoods, and encouraging local investment, and whereas Rio Grande City wishes to recognize small business for the key role they play in keeping our economy strong. Now herefore, the City Commission of Rio Grande City does hereby proclaim May 4th through May the 8th, 2015 as Small Business Week, and proclaim May 7th, 2015 as Small Business Day in Rio Grande City. We invite our citizens to join with us in the observance as we celebrate the accomplishments of small businesses owners and their employees, and encourage the development of new small business. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of this city to be affixed on this, the 22nd day of April, 2015. Anybody to speak on behalf of Small Business Week or Small Business Day?
Yes, sir, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. I know that Ms. Angela Guillen is going to be setting up several workshops with small businesses. Ms. Guillen, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more on this.
Sure. I'd like to thank the Commission for proclaiming the week as the communities across the country are honoring small businesses that first week in May in Rio Grande City. The Rio Grande City Economic Development Corporation is inviting small business owners to a complimentary coffee that we will have at the courtyard on Tuesday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And in addition to that, the Small Business Development Center at UTPA will be hosting a financing seminar for small business at the Rio Grande City Public Library that Thursday from 10 a.m. to noon. So, of course, anyone that's aspiring to start up a new business is more than welcome to join us at the coffee or at the seminar. And, of course, our office is always open to small business seeking support and advice from the Rio Grande City EDC.
Very well. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add that I'd like to invite all the business owners and people in the community to come and visit the EDC. We've had several new businesses open up in the city, and basically with Ms. Guillen, there's some programs that can help assist with financial needs, new construction, renovations, facades, anything like that. So we have some programs available to the community to come and take advantage of those programs.
What's that, Mr. Ramirez? Anybody else? We'll go ahead and move on to 1E, departmental reports. It's there for your review. If anybody has any questions, departmental reports.
Mayor and Commissioners, we do want to highlight the boys and girls. I know they have a group. They have been learning Portuguese and French, and they're gearing up for their summer program. So I'm going to let Michael introduce a couple of real smart kids and their instructor. Michael.
Yeah, Michael Bencourt, you're director of the Boys and Girls Youth Club. Very happy with the progress we're making with our new foreign language program. If we could have Ms. Audette bring up our students, they are going to recite some French to you guys for your language program this semester, including Brazilian Portuguese that we heard last semester.
Okay, my students, Nathan, Oscar, who else is back here?
Mrs.
Nayeli, oh, Nayeli, please.
And while we're gathering up the students, just a couple days, we are still the only youth club in the United States that offers a foreign language program of any sort, including Spanish, which of course our students are already fluent with. We added French and Portuguese just to give a larger worldview and make sure that they are marketable when they leave us. They go to high school, they go to college, they get a job. They can say they're trilingual, quadlingual, and we're gunning for a fifth language next semester, so they will continue to learn four languages.
Good. Hello?
Well, me?
Good afternoon, Ms. Audette. Always a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, a pleasure to meet again some of my former students. And at first, about a month ago, Mr. Rico Falcon, who is the instructional leader there, called me and said, I need you. I said, for what? And he says, well, I need you to teach French at the Boys and Girls Club. And I said, well, how many hours and so forth and so on, because I also babysit, with my grandkids and so forth and so on. So I said, well, let me try and see how it goes. I've been there 1 month, and I am very honored to be here this evening representing the Boys and Girls Club of Rio Grande City. As Mr. Betancourt, as you would say in French.
Pronounce it better than I do.
Betancourt, okay. And before I continue, I would like to mention that here in the city, this premises, we do have a young man who was my student in high school, who after his sophomore year told me that he wanted to go study abroad. Gilbert. Gilbert. And I'm very proud of him because he has done excellent in the study of French, and he also not only at Pan American University, but also at Laval University in Quebec, where he continued his study of French. And here, I wish I could have brought all the kids. Depending, I have some attend every day, anywhere from, let's say, 25 to 30 students, age from 5 to 10, 12 years old. You're how old? 11, okay? So, for me, I was so used to, for 41 years, I taught at French and Spanish AP Literature at Rio Grande City High School. So, it has been a challenge for me as well, because at a high school level, well, you're dealing with students who come to your classroom, they already know a little bit more about discipline and, things like that. But here, it's been a challenge for me to try to teach everything, being that I have the various age levels. It has worked so far, and today I have Nathan, I have Osler, and Ayeli. He doesn't want to. Dimitri is shy, okay? But this is, we're going to tell you a little bit about what we have been doing. They know the alphabet in French, the numbers, the days of the week, the months, the colors, and a little bits and pieces of other conversational words. Okay, so I will begin with when they come into class. What do we say?
Bonjour, madame. Bonjour, madame. Bonjour, madame.
Okay, so I'm sure you got the gist, ¿verdad, of what that is. You know, like hello, good afternoon, and also the je m'appelle, which is. Okay, my name is, all right. Now, savez-vous les jours de la semaine?
Oui, madame.
Quels sont les jours de la semaine?
Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche. Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche.
Okay, savez-vous les mois de l'année?
Oui, madame.
Quels sont les mois de l'année?
Janvier, février, mars, avril, mai, juin, juillet, août, septembre, octobre, novembre, décembre.
Very good.
And they don't learn it in a day, you know, you have to give them like, we did like the clapping so that they could get the rhythm, janvier, février, so they could get. And the similarity of especially September, October, November, December, you know, they're similar to the Spanish, okay? Quelles sont les couleurs? Savez-vous la prononciation pour les couleurs en français? Par exemple, blue,
Bleu,
okay? Red,
rouge,
white,
blanc, blanc.
okay? And I introduce them with that, of course, the red, white, and blue. Le drapeau américain, le drapeau américain. Okay? Bien. Et savez-vous les numéros de 1 à 20? Quels sont les numéros? Portez.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Very good.
Savez-vous l'alphabet français?
Oui.
Okay. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez, Monsieur Gilbert?
Je pense qu'il parle très bien le français.
As the young program progresses to adulthood.
And this is the gentleman I told you all about, right? That hopefully one afternoon he can come by and visit.
This was not the program, but
No, he was not aware that I was going to do this. All right. But I am, like I say, I'm very honored, and of course I was very proud and feel very proud to be, have been part of the Rio Grande City Independent School District for 41 years. And I'm also very honored to have boys and girls this age who have shown an interest in learning languages. They already know like Brazilian Portuguese, all right? So can you imagine a child this age and being able to speak and understand 4 languages? Because after all, the 21st century, it's global, and the more languages that a child knows and understands, the job marketplace will always be open anywhere they go. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
for having us here.
So yes, our program's obviously working. Our students are very excited to be doing it. So we'll be doing new programs this summer, kind of changing a little bit. We'll be having photography for our kids to experience a little more creative outlets, as well as some sports programs to get them out there running around, because no one wants to sit in the classroom all summer long. On top of that, our fundraising initiatives are going strong. We received another large donation from a business. Dr. B Pediatric Care Center donated $10,000 yesterday. So we are continuing to grow. Boys and Girls Youth Club is a success as of now.
Very good. Thank you, Michael.
Congratulations, Ms. Laurel, and your students.
Thank you.
Very well done.
Always an honor to meet you, to see you, ma'am. I know I was one of your students, and I know you can get me to write Spanish. You can get anybody to write Spanish.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Mayor, if you will allow me, I'd like to just
Sure.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'd like to just quickly say some things on the police department. They've recently been awarded for 2 fully equipped vehicles. This is going to add to our fleet and much needed. As you know, we did purchase in the past about maybe 6-7 years. So they're much needed, and I want to give thanks to the police department for going after this grant. The fire department is also gearing up for hurricane season. They're going for some training. Municipal court is also going through their program to look at some amnesty on some outstanding warrants. Public Works will be looking at the mosquito spraying, and the Animal Control Planning Department just went through a rabies clinic. You had about almost 300.
Yes, ma'am. To be exact, 236 pets were vaccinated. We have a very good turnout. I think the rank visit, well, otherwise we would have gone up probably easy over 300. But very good turnout.
Can you also elaborate, Mr. Milan, on the spay and neutering program we're going to be starting pretty soon?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we already have scheduled prices, and they will immediately come pick them up and take them to their facility in McAllen, Texas. It's a state-of-the-art facility. I personally went myself to the facility, and it's a whole, very complex operation there. It's a surgery room, doctors, sterilization rooms, etc. So we're a very good product for the money.
Very good. Thank you.
Parks and Rec are already working on trying to get their summer program going to get approved. And the finance department is going through their mid-year process review, so we can soon
Mr.
go.
Perales here.
Mr. Perales is also in the parks. He's got teams of basketball and soccer ongoing, 17 and 16 teams. He's about 2 weeks away from closing his season. Kind of look at the award ceremony there. You also have copies of your reports on the utility department. They're also working on a number of grants to continue expanding our infrastructure in water and wastewater. The department heads are present. If you all have any questions of any sorts, they're all available here. So if there's no further questions, that concludes our departmental report.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Let's go ahead and move on to 2A, and that's approval of departmental travel requests. Mrs. Reyes?
Yes, sir. We have an updated travel request report. They added the Boys and Girls. They're going to a mandatory training that is sponsored by the National Boys and Girls Club. The fire department will be going to the emergency management training in San Antonio, and the police department is going on the defense tactics workshop training also. Those are the 3 departments that will be having travel this coming month.
Very well. Motion?
Awesome, Mayor.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Ramirez, second by Mr. Jones. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So we go on to 3A, and that's the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2015-3, ordering a special election to be held on June 27th, 2015, for the purpose of electing a mayor for the current unexpired term. Mrs. Reyes.
Mayor and Commissioners, you do have a memo explaining the process the city secretary has taken in getting this election going. This is the second reading of the ordinance. Once this is approved, the same evening, all potential candidates can file.
Very well.
We do have a revision
Yes.
to the ordinance, the contract portion with the county in the back
Yes.
for election equipment. There were 3 changes on page 2, items that are to be deleted from the contract because one of the people that we're hiring will do these jobs. We don't have to have the county do them for us. So we're eliminating those from the contract. Other than that, everything remains the same.
You want to mention that on the,
No, we're just substituting this for the exhibit in the ordinance.
oh, okay, very well.
You do
What's
need
the
a
wish of
motion.
the board?
I so move, Mayor.
Second.
Motion, I have a second by Mr. Jones. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll move on to resolutions at 4A. And it reads, discussion and possible action to adopt resolution number 2015-10, amending authorized representatives with the Logic Public Funds Investment Pool. Mrs. Reyes, please.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is in according to our ordinance. Since we do have a new finance director, this is housekeeping, and we're adding him to the authorized representatives to transact all investments with this company of Logic.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I so move.
A motion by
Second.
Mr. Ramirez, a second by Mr. Jones. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll go to 4B, discussion and possible action to adopt resolution number 2015-11, amending authorized representatives with the Tax Pool Public Funds Investment Pool. Mrs. Reyes.
As the previous item, Mayor and Commissioners, this is another of our instruments that we use to invest public funds. This is a tax pool, and it is adding Mr. David Sines, the Finance Director, to the list of authorized representatives.
Any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Science. What kind of return do we get on this investment?
The return rate right now with tax pool and Logic is a little bit higher than what we receive locally. It's about 0.35.
0.35?
Correct.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I so move.
Second.
Motion, and I have a second by Mr. Jones. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 4C, discussion and possible action to adopt resolution number 2015-12, increasing warrant fees from $50 to $100. Mrs. Baez.
Mayor and Commissioners, in looking at our sources of revenue and seeing what was outstanding, this came across as an item in our ordinance that is outdated. Most cities are up to 100. We looked at the surrounding cities, and I think the only ones now at $50 per warrant. And we are recommending that it be increased with a grace period amnesty of until June 1st.
Well, I think it'll also encourage people to come visit our municipal court.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions? Questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I so move.
A motion by Mr. Jones,
I'll send the motion.
second by Mr. Ramirez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Go to 4D, discussion and possible action to adopt resolution number 2015-13, authorizing a bank account and designating signatures for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Grant project number 54-000149, the skate park. Elizabeth.
Yes, sir. We are finally have a grant agreement from Texas Parks and Wildlife for $75,000. As part of the grant requirements, we are required to open a separate bank account to account for this funds that they reimburse to the city when they do our monitoring and our audits. We are very anxious to start the skate park. We have a bunch of kids that are very more anxious than we are to be part of this. This will be a very professional skate park with, we're looking at having a warranty of 15 years.
Very well.
What's the timeline is best once we start to finish the project?
When we actually enter into the phase of the construction where Public Works will be participating with the site work, we're looking at anywhere from 3 to 4 months.
Any idea when we're gonna start?
We've already started on, this is being one of them, those requirements with the state. We already set up a meeting with the company for next week to meet with Public Works and our city engineer, do the layouts. So we're looking at construction actually starting around, site work would start next month, and the assembly of the ramps would probably start in 2 months from later.
We had seen two of the designs before we went out for this grant. Is there anything else that has changed from those two designs that we saw, or do we need to approve one before we start the project?
The design was approved when the application was submitted. We can certainly bring it back.
Yes, I would like to see it again because I don't recall exactly which one we
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that we saw 2 or 3, right, different designs.
And I think the one that was the least costly was the one that was selected. It did still include ramp stairs, what they call like the bowl. They also included the bars where they get on top of the skateboard. And they skate down those bars of metal. But we'll certainly bring it back to you all. We will be working with the company to come within the budget, sir.
Okay.
This is to open the account.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Ramirez and a second by Mr. Young. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll move on to city manager's report, 5A. Discussion and possible action to authorize the purchase and financing of a Motorola Astro P25 digital radio site system connected to McAllen radio system in compliance with interoperability requirements of the Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Homeland Security, and State Administrative Agency. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yes, sir. The city received 2 grants under the State Homeland Security funds in total of approximately $198,000. These funds are to be used to have the interoperability mandated by the governor's office for cases of disasters, catastrophic situations. This equipment will allow us to have interoperability between Laredo and McAllen with all different law enforcement agencies. We do have a team that's working on this, Mr. David Sainz, Chief Reyes, and Chief Castillo. They can further explain on the bandwidth, the frequencies, the radios that will be used. We also have a representative from Motorola that we've been communicating with on the radios and equipment. Besides the radios that will be purchased, we have improvements done in our dispatching unit on the consulates, and we also have improvements at the tower, at the shelter. The gentlemen are here if you all have any questions, including Mr. Champion also.
You have anything to add, Mr. Reyes? Chief Reyes?
The only thing is that we're gonna be migrating from the old system to a new system. It's we're gonna be going digital. Having the capability to communicate with different jurisdictions locally, besides valley-wide also. Hopefully we do connect to the Valley area McAllen site. We'll be communicating all the way from here to Brownsville, Arlington. towards the east side, that we get most of our resources when we need mutual aid from those areas.
When you say communicate, you mean with other police officers, or do you have to call the dispatch, their dispatch center?
We gonna have the capabilities of communicating between officer to officer, dispatch centers, emergency management, public works. In case we do need, like McAllen or Mission at this location, we're gonna be able to communicate with them directly now. Or even from here, if we have individuals that are responding in a pursuit to La Jolla or Mission, we're gonna be able to have direct communication from our dispatch center to theirs. And also, we're gonna be able to communicate through the Laredo jurisdiction, Zapata, Wood County, Roma, South.
I know for a fact that our systems go out just east of La Jolla, and that's as far as we have communications within ourselves. How is this going to affect in any way, or how is Rio Grande City CISD PD going to be affected, or what is the school district going to have to do to be able to be on the same?
The only thing that's gonna happen at that point, once we do the migration into the digital system, your all system, like all your mobiles and portables are gonna have to be upgraded. You're gonna have to buy that software from Motorola, because they're strictly Motorola, so you can be able to be compatible with the city. Money-wise, financially, you would have to talk to Motorola directly, depending on how many radios, mobiles, and portables you have, and they can give you a quotation on that. But besides that, we're gonna be able to communicate still. We're doing the rebanding hopefully in the next couple of months, changing the frequencies on public safety. So you're gonna still be able to communicate with Rio PD. Once you do the migration with us, in case the school district decides to, you're gonna be able to have the same access that we have towards the van. But like I said, that's gonna have to do the school PD that has to do the upgrades on those type of radios, because right now you're in an analog system, and we're gonna be jumping to a digital system.
The grant that we received, does that cover all the expenses, the radios, the antennas, and whatever else? I mean, is there gonna be any additional expenses from the city?
Yes, sir. There will be additional expenses, and that is why the item, the agenda calls for financing the rest of the costs associated with this. I know the costs associated, you have a section there in your packet.
Pass out or is it in the packet?
It should be in your packet, but I'll have Mr. Science, because he's been working just about every day with Motorola to come up with something reasonable, something that we can work with, and I'm going to have Mr. Science go ahead and explain the financing. You have it there.
So the total purchase price of the dispatching console and all the equipment needed to upgrade us to this new system comes out to about $750,000. Keep in mind that the actual federal grants that we received to cover a portion of this cost to allow us to achieve interoperability is about $198,000. So we're actually looking at financing about $551,000. So that's the actual amount, but the benefits associated with this will allow us, as Chief Reyes was saying, to communicate from here all the way to Brownsville. And currently we do not have that. Many of our officers need to switch to cell phones once they hit the Calahua area, and they have to call during a chase to see where you see and where you're at, and situations like that. So I've begun looking at preliminary figures on financing. That's what I'm seeking to obtain permission for, and the rates that you're promising. But as far as the equipment that we are getting, we're getting all of the materials necessary to achieve this, and there is the potential to reduce costs or generate income down the road as we join the communications group out of the county.
When's the last time we had an update to the system?
1998.
1998?
It was installed back in
98?
I do want, Mr. Castillo, about 2 weeks ago when there was some thunderstorms, you lost communication for 2 hours.
For about 2 hours. We have had a pursuit that went all the way to Milan and McAllen, and we lost our guys. So, it is, we are growing, and there's a lot more stuff going on during the utilize a little bit more and more. So,
What would this new system do? Kick you into a new antenna or to another antenna or
Mr. Champion?
to another receiver?
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, distinguished members. David Champion with Motorola. I'm the regional account manager for South Texas. And Chief, I had the opportunity to work with you. So, in answer to your question, what it will allow you to do is to join a regional system. And that regional system currently covers 3 counties, Cameron, Wilson, and Hidalgo County. And there's 11 tower sites within that system. So when we say a tower site, we're talking about just like what you have on Eisenhower Road, and there's antennas mounted on there. You would become 12th site on this system, thereby increasing the geography. It's one common operating platform. So in answer to your question about, it's two-way communication, because if you have an officer going east, you're also going to have an officer coming west. So you're going to be able to hear that traffic coming towards you, as opposed to going away from you. So it's important to be able to hear what's incoming as it is outgoing. Because if you're on one operating system, you're going to have that ability to listen and talk. So it's not just one antenna, Chief, it's an array. It's a huge system.
Yeah.
Currently has 13,000 radios on it. DPS is entirely on the system. Just about all of Cameron County, all of Willacy County, and about 80% of Hidalgo County is on the system. Federal agencies are Border Patrol. We just created went into the McAllen Dispatch Center and put some radios in there so they can try it. Because as we know, Border Patrol unfortunately has some issues on the border, especially down on the river. And we have some good penetration down the river. And as Chief Castillo mentioned, we live in very different times now, unfortunately. And so we're having to address those issues. You have officer safety issues. So we're hoping that what we bring forward for your consideration is the latest technology. The system has been operational since 1998, so I would like you to consider this. It's reached end of life, truthfully. Equipment can only go so far before it has to be replaced. I think we can all look at our cell phones, our computers, and see those things changing almost yearly. So we're at a point where a catastrophic failure could literally take you off the air. I don't want to see that happen to you guys. Because, again, you're growing, and you need to be able to communicate within yourselves as externally as well. So it brings a lot of features and value to the city, and it truthfully ties you into the valley in a very profound way.
And it's about safety.
It's about safety. And it's not only about safety of your frontline officers. Obviously, they're fighting every day for the benefit of the citizens, but it's for the citizens as well, no doubt. I mean, because if you can't get an officer to respond and communicate, we have not only an officer safety issue, we have a citizen safety issue.
Correct.
So it has profound effects on both sides. You know, let's not reduce it just down to one element. There is elements on both sides, including yourselves, obviously. So that's what it brings.
It is a long overdue upgrade to our system, and it'll have capacity to even add additional accounts as we continue to grow, Mayor.
We have DPSs in the regional system also right now. But they're having that issue right now that they're still continuing using analog with the sheriff's office because they can't reach out with website because that's the main headquarters. So hopefully with us coming part of the regional system, they're going to have the ability to be able to communicate from Lopeño or Zapata all the way to us. Hopefully. And that's what the communication group, last week we had a conference in McAllen, and I spoke to the individual that's in charge of the communication group, Pilar Rodriguez, and he said that they're waiting just for us to give them a call and come do it.
I would ask you to consider also statewide. You're seeing the concept of regional systems become the normal operating platform as opposed to what we call autonomous systems. Like you currently operate. You're basically your own system, which is nothing wrong with that. That was the baseline for years. But regionality has forced us to join and be able to support each other. You have great assets to the east that will come and support you. And so in order to have that ability to communicate, there's where the concept of a regional platform, a regional communication system came into play. So regionality statewide has taken off. And eventually, we may see a statewide regional system at some point. That's still some years away. But you can go to different parts of the state. Harris County, for instance, has almost 80,000 radios on their regional system. And it takes in everything from Galveston to the east and then to the west. So it's a huge system. But they can all talk. They can all talk. So we encourage you to offer some consideration in that regard, and any questions we can help you with, we'd be happy to address.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
And Commissioners, I just wanted to let you know, part of the package and part of the cost does include your full warranty and 24/7 services towards the system. And your administration also worked really hard to negotiate with Motorola, and they got significant discounts, which are outlined on page 6. So this was discounted very reasonably by Motorola for the city, and we do have our full warranties and our services provided if anything happens to this equipment or we need anything.
Will be current, Commissioner.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, sir, if you all approve this, we will be current with all interoperability in our region and in compliance with state mandates.
What are the wishes of the board?
Also move, Mayor.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Ramirez and a second by Mr. Jones. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have executive session?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, we have executive section on items C, D, and E.
Very well. We'll be going into executive session, Ms. Holly, and it is 6:42. Ms. Holly, let it show that we're back in session, and it's 7:14. And we will have no action on 6A, 6B, 6D, and 6E. We'll go to discussion and possible action regarding Prospect 2015-1.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to submit bid purchase as discussed in executive session for Prospect 2015-1.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Before we adjourn, department heads, do they have any announcements?
So just to let you all know, we've been doing some water sighting for the mosquitoes. We come out and we're doing water sighting for mosquito control. Very good.
Very well, thank you.
The Rio Grande City EDC is preparing for a groundbreaking ceremony of the Rancho Alto Vista Park on May 6th at 9 a.m. We're still in the planning, so save the date. And of course, we will have something in the paper inviting the community to attend.
Very well.
Is, Danny, is that the same date for the bid opening for the courtyard?
Yes, it is.
That it? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Also move.
Second.
Motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Same sign. Meeting is adjourned. It is 7:16.